is the current deputy mayor of Franklin Township, the only openly gay deputy mayor in Franklin Township. And Ed got behind this. Ed is behind so many environmental and ethical causes for this community. He's a very open speaker on so many levels. People respect what he has to say, and they can't resist his smile because it's engaging and it's genuine. And so I would love to introduce you to not only Ed Potosnik, but also Dr. Gail Nelson, who works with the Inclusive Club at Franklin High School, and also your friend, and your name is, sir?
My name is Danny Mullins.
And Danny Mullins, who is an openly bisexual individual in Franklin Township. And we are here today to talk what is gay and why we are so proud of it. Ed, start us off.
Well, first of all, it's a wonderful day. Hope folks can get out here to the gazebo and join us. Having Franklin Pride the first time that we're having it is really just an opportunity for us in Franklin Township to reaffirm that it's a welcoming, inclusive community, that you should be welcome to be who you are, to love who you wish to love, and we love you back for that. And the idea really is for us to have a brief speaking program to highlight some of the programs that are available in the support for LGBT plus individuals, and then also to hear a little bit about opportunities there are in the community to get more involved and maybe even do some networking. This really is a celebration, but also a time to reflect on the challenges that we've overcome through time and the challenges that lie ahead, and just remember our young people that are struggling even today in 2024 with their identity and a society that it may not seem as welcoming as I believe it is, and I think Pride today is a reflection and a reminder of that.
Well, I think it's beyond having programs to address what the issues are originally, when the issues are originally what some of the issues stem from. And the inclusivity is that here we are. This is a gay man. This is not a gay woman. This is not a gay woman. This is a bisexual man. And you know what? We are free to love and care about whomever we choose because we are predestined to do so. Ed, do you want to touch on that a little?
Well, I think you said it exactly right. There's not much more I could add. I will say Franklin has a really strong history with the LGBT plus community. Many of you know Sophie's Bistro, but before that it was The Den, and before that it was Manny's Den. And before that, it was a groundbreaking Supreme Court case in the state of New Jersey that predated Stonewall that allowed gay men and women and also transgender individuals, people of the same sex, to get together and drink because they had shut them down just like they tried to shut down Stonewall before the Stonewall riots. And New Jersey said you can't do that. People are free to associate. And that is a really important history. In The Den and Manny's Den, now Sophie's, they've had an interesting past. And I asked Peter to come, Peter Mack, but he was unavailable to come today. And for me, like, my first house was very close to The Den, and that made Franklin even more welcoming, knowing that there was community there as well. So, however you are, whoever and you choose to love, it's also about what we do in our daily lives. All of us have jobs. We're contributing. We're working in different companies. Hopefully, beginning to pay our bills, but also making the community better. As a volunteer, I work on council. I did the school board before that. There are a lot of contributions that LGBT plus people have, and thinking about that and around Pride as an opportunity to lift that up.
I'm probably going to step in this one, Franklin. The element of choosing, that's what I have a problem with. Any study that I have observed, any friends who I've had over the years, every friend has known since he or she was 4 or 5 years old, I'm different, Mom. I don't know why, but I'm different. I like boys. I can't help it. I like boys. At 4 or 5 years old, we're not talking about a choice here. We're talking about predisposition. We're talking about genetics. Again, I may be stepping in a big pile here, Franklin, but I think this is worth having this open up just a little bit. When I hear we do this and we do that and we do this, of course you do. You would whether you were bisexual, asexual, homosexual, transsexual. You would do what you were born to do, and you would love who you were born to love. And if I can be any sort of a voice on that level, believe me, please contact me. Because I strongly, strongly believe this is not about appreciating somebody who's different because they're different, but because they are humans who have the right to be whoever they are. And that's, I am, here we go, stepping right into it. Ed, you are the strongest proponent about gay rights who I have ever known. It's just my feeling that you shouldn't have to.
Yes, but we do, right? Because we see what's
I
happening
know.
all over the place.
I
They're
know.
trying to take away books that would help folks understand more about themselves and their feelings, which I find not only inappropriate, it's actually dangerous. In fact, young people that are LGBT are no more predisposed to suicide, but the suicide rates for young people who are LGBTQ plus are 4 times higher, right? And there's a reason because of that. That's society, right? That's sort of the pressures that are being felt. It's the lack of a pride event in a town like ours for how many years or decades or more than a century. I agree with you. It's not a choice. It'd be a difficult choice. People tend not to do difficult things.
It's an impossible choice.
And it's impossible. And, this whole idea that people are trying to convert kids or teach them any sort of way. I'm gay. I'm very comfortable with that. I have no problem, talking about that. But society spent its entire education system, its TV programming, every minute of every day, teaching me to be something else, right? The Ken and Barbie dolls were a particular matching pair. And that's not who I am. And so you can't teach that. You can't choose it. What we want folks to be able to do is understand it, and that's why education's important. The work that Dr. Nelson is doing is important, and events like this are important to reaffirm, to let folks know it's okay. And if you're struggling, because for me, the biggest struggle was with myself. People would ask me, are you gay? And even when I was dating a man, I wouldn't say that. I was like, well, this is fun. I'm attracted. Well, let's see what it is. I had to come to terms with that myself. And a lot of that was because society said it was wrong.
Well,
And I
there's
have
the
learned
operative word.
Yeah.
The word wrong.
Yeah.
As opposed to the word I am or the words I am. There is no right or wrong about I am.
That's right. Yeah, it's true. And I think for us here today, that's really what we're trying to let folks know. That this community is one where you can be who you are. And if you're struggling, we'll find supports for you. If you're not struggling and you're comfortable, there might be someone who is. So can we work together to provide that support and also just break down the barriers that can become a wall for someone expressing their true self. And that is sociological, sort of schooled. There weren't movies like there are now when I was growing up, where they had same-sex couples coming out as teenagers, learning to love one another. And I think it's going to be really beneficial for young people who are, bisexual or gay, lesbian, transgender, to see that and see role models and understand that they're not so unique. Because you feel really isolated and alone. And if there's anything that folks can hear today, is that we're not alone. We have a great community, and it's a community that's supportive, but we still have challenges ahead of us. Rights that have been afforded are being taken away. Things that we take for granted, that we work so hard and shoulders we stood on from pioneers before us, we're falling backwards in some places, and we have to be very vigilant to make sure that doesn't happen here in our own community, and we have to do as much as we can to provide that backstop and protection. And government has a role as deputy mayor on council, but also community members have a role, the schools and parents and religious institutions for doing their part to being welcoming and inclusive as well.
I think it's about co-respect.
Absolutely.
That especially in a community such as Franklin, where we have well over 65 languages spoken in the schools alone. It may be more than that in the homes. We have over 70 houses of worship. If this is not diversity, Franklin, and if gay is not diverse, I don't know what Franklin really stands for. And that's one of the points that I hope we can all drive home today, that Franklin Township stands for diversity in all its pride and all its colors. And so I'd love for you to introduce Dr. Gail Nelson, because Gail works very closely with kids in school. Some of these kids find a privacy haven with Gail Nelson that they don't find anywhere else because there's still reticence about their acceptance level within the umbrella of being a gay kid. And so, Gail, you've been so instrumental in providing that safe haven for kids. Please switch places just for a sec. Yes, please tell us about your role and some of the kids you encounter and what are some of the issues you're facing.
Hi. Okay. Well, most of the kids that are in my club called PACE, and PACE stands for Protect, Advocate, Care, and Educate. And the students came up with that because they feel they need protection. Because before there was a place, an inclusive, safe room for them, they felt isolated, as you said, some very suicidal, and some going through trauma at home because if they came out, they weren't accepted. It may be due to religious reasons, their culture, or whatever, but now Franklin has that club that provides those students, in fact, like a place for social life, because it's inclusive. So it's not just for the gay kids, it's for any child that needs a place that they can call home away from home, but within the school community where they feel safe. And they know there are other adults in that building who will protect them, who will advocate for them, who will get them the services that they need whenever. So we've been very instrumental in that. Recently we did win a grant from 50 states, 50 grants, and it's called It Gets Better. So we had our first youth conference May 4th at the board office, and I have to thank Mr. Wilson and Mary Clark for being very instrumental in helping me pull that all together, and Mr. Clark, who is a counselor at the high school, who's very, very much my sidekick and helps me a lot with the students. It was very successful, and we look forward. I just did the grant again, so keep your fingers crossed. It's going to be bigger and better. Also, the club allows students to be very creative too, because they do a lot of spoken word, a lot of singing. And if you just sit back, as the advisor, I get to see them in action. If you just sit back and listen to their conversations and their openness without judgment, don't come in my room with judgment, because this is an open space. And I've never heard anything that was spoken in that environment outside of the school. I've never. So I feel there's a great respect among the students, and it's a great place to be when you're struggling with anything in life. So we want to continue in that framework. And to me, you mentioned what is gay. Well, to me, what is gay is just being human. My name is Gail, Gayle, and I got gay in that name, and I'm happy, So, that's what I say to my students. Be who you are. Walk in your purpose.
Exactly.
Walk in your purpose and understand who you are as a person. You don't owe this world anything. You owe yourself the best. And that's what we try to promote when we're having discussions. And we do discuss, different states. They see the banning of books, and they see every book that was banned, we have it in our classroom.
Wow.
And we read and we talk about it. And I said, you always have to keep an open mind and groom yourself to grow. And whatever you want to learn, don't let anyone stop you. The best training I ever had when they asked me to be the advisor, and it was students who came to me and had a petition. Because at first I was like, I don't know what to do. Suppose I say the wrong thing, I'm not going to do it. But how many of you know that God has a way of dealing with your heart and tugging on you when he wants you to serve? And that's what I am. I am a servant unto those students that come to me. I'm not better than them. They teach me. And another way I was taught, I started going to a lot of workshops, and the best one I went to was the Trans Wellness Conference in Philadelphia. And if you don't know about that conference, in September they're going to have it. I learned so much coming in as a volunteer and just really being around that community, full force. And I said to myself, they're no different than me.
Well, I think the difference is the differences.
Right.
We're all different. And can you imagine
the differences?
Exactly. Can you imagine walking into a room and somebody saying, "Oops, you can't be here because your eyes are blue"?
Right.
What? What?
Personally be offended by
Come on over. Come on over. Come on over. Tell us again who you are.
My name's Danny Mullins. I'm a community member, and I'm an out and proud bisexual man.
Okay. Let's give Danny the floor. Okay.
Well,
How long have you been this person?
well, I've been bisexual my whole life. I've been out since my early 20s. So, longer than I'd like to admit, but about 20 years now.
Admit it proudly.
I've been an out and proud bisexual man since the age of 22, and I'm 37 now.
Wow. Okay. And how do you feel you've integrated you as a bisexual man openly into your own community? Have you had any issues? Have you had any problems? Has anybody tried to say to you, oh, no, you should be something else?
Well, to be quite frank, because of bisexuality tends to be one of the erased orientations, I have run into problems where people believe that it should be a choice, that I should choose one or the other. I've been in straight presenting relationships, and people believe that eventually I would turn gay, so to speak, or otherwise. Yeah, yes. So the main thing is that being bisexual and open, even when I'm in straight passing relationships, allows me to be my authentic self. And that's what I truly believe is the best thing for me.
Well, I think that's the bottom line, Franklin. The authenticity to be who we are. We are born, however we are, that we are born. And honoring that which we are born in and of. That's our task. Again, in this diverse community where over 65 languages are spoken in this school, again, over 70 houses of worship in this community, that if we don't learn to co-respect and co-accept each other, then we are all in trouble, because outside it's a whole lot worse. We have to start in our own backyards and look at people for the truths that they are. And I welcome you. Thank you so much for stepping up. Okay, I do see that Mayor Kramer has joined us. Mayor Phil Kramer, please tell us why you're here in all your gay pride beads today.
Because in the last 20 years, we've made an enormous progress for equal rights for the LGBT community. And I feel that's slipping away. I don't know the number, but there are many, many states that have put up for legislation for laws that will chip away, or more than chip away, at some of the progress that we've made. And that's concerning to me. I'm glad we live in a town where we have an openly gay politician who's a fantastic deputy mayor, and none of us care who he loves or what he does, except I happen to like the person he loves, and none of us care, and it doesn't affect his job. It doesn't affect who he is. He's a great friend of mine, and why should he not have every right that I have? So I'm worried about the backslide, and we need to keep moving forward, not backwards.
Well, with you at the helm, we hope that's our direction.
Well, not just here, for the whole country.
Okay, we start in Franklin and we work out.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, Ed Potosnik, come on back. Since this was your project, I'm sorry. The tough questions, I think, need to be asked. And of course, I'm really going to hear about this. I know, Franklin, I'm supposed to maintain a neutrality, but this is human rights. There's a difference. This is not, should we pass that legislation to have that tree taken down? This is human rights. This is cross acceptance of all of us. We each have the right to be accepted, whoever we are, however we present, whatever our eye color is, and whoever it is that we love. And I am so personally grateful to Ed Potosnik for always being open in who he is. He has never apologized. He doesn't have to apologize. He just does what he has to do, gets it done, and leads by example.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you keeping the advocate and Franklin reporter and advocate, because you're a great advocate for the LGBT plus community. You can see the passion. I know that personally, and it's really because every person matters, and I know you have a lot of experience with the work that you've done over time, and personal experiences, mutual friends that aren't with us anymore, and it means a lot to me, and I always feel welcomed in this community, and it's just a great place to live. And thank you for your work.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. I think the goal is that we don't have to say thank you anymore. That it's just an acceptance, that it just is. That Ed loves who he loves, PJ loves who she loves, anyone in this audience loves and associates with who he or she loves or wants to be with. It's as simple and perhaps as Pollyanna as that. But I strongly, strongly believe in this, Franklin, and I know all of you do too. Thank you for Gay Pride recognition this month. And 2024 is 24/7 for the rest of our lives, Franklin. Keep this in mind. Equality uber alles. This is PJ Parker, Franklin reporter and advocate. Happy Pride Month. We'll be back.